Hello, this is Ken, and I am late, but let me tell you why. Um, Apologize to anybody that may or may not have been actually expecting me at noon. Um, for starters, I have been talking for about 10 minutes, and so that's frustrating because I clicked go live and I thought I was going live, and I wasn't live. So that's entirely a problem. Now that I'm past 10 minutes, I'm running late. So. Um, I had a whole thing I was talking about saying to everyone, and I'm a little thrown off now because I was working on my phone. I had this echo, trying to get it taken care of, and actually started drawing. I was going out to no one, talking about stuff, life, and was working on this little dragon right here. Hi, dragon, because it's Dragon Day. I'm trying to do a clever dragon drop. Because get it, dragon drop, and so technical difficulties once again. Just when I think I got this thing down, something else comes up, and I clearly don't. But that's okay. And I'll tell you why. Because I am not a broadcaster, and then this is not a regular show. I'm not trying to be super fancy about it. I'm just trying to get my art out there, talk to some people. Really working on just doing something publicly in a setting where like COVID is all over the place and we're still not doing conventions and I haven't done any appearances or comic book stores or anything. And I miss that. I miss you guys. So it's why I'm doing the live drawing because I miss live drawing. Um, it's one of my favorite parts of this. One of my favorite things is to do like sketches in front of people, take requests and say, "Oh man, you like the Hulk, or you like a Spider Man, or you like a dragon," and then I draw that. Um, eh, Weirdly, one of my favorite things. Even though sometimes it's incredibly stressful. I know on Free Comic Book Day, if you've ever seen me, I will sit there for 8 hours straight, no food, no bathroom break, maybe take a drink now and then, and just draw as much as I can until everybody is gone and taken care of. So, to that end, support your local comic book store. Hit up Cashman's Comics if you're in Bay City, because that is our jam. Corey Comics in Saginaw. And wherever your city is, look for your local comic book store. They are the lifeblood of your community, whether you know it or not. So I'm starting over because, like I said, I've been talking for 10 minutes to nobody on earth. Um, and before I get going here and catch up on my dragons, I wanted to just say something about you and me and uh, us in general as a society, or compassion for each other. Because I'm watching some stuff go down and I don't want to get in anything personal, so I'm not going to be specific. It's going to be vague. And I know I hate vague posts, but whatever. The people are hurting right now. Some stuff that has never gone on in 100 years is happening, and it's having a several effects on people. And I mean, I know you know this, but I'm reaching out because it's on my mind, and I need you to know that you're not alone. I need to know that I'm not alone sometimes, and I've been fortunate enough to have people reach out to me and tell me and put a virtual arm around me and tell me you're not alone. It's going to be okay. So I want to do the same. If you're a friend of mine, whether in person or on Facebook, or a fan of my work, or someone that just follows me and barely know me, I want you to know I care. And you just being in my circle uh, makes you someone important in my world, and that's just how I feel about that. So whether we're close or not close, whether I haven't seen you in years or I've never met you at all, uh, this is a hard time, and I care, and it's going to be okay, one way or another. And to my friends that are going through stuff right now, it's going to be okay. We're going to be there for each other. And this pandemic is hurting people both physically and mentally, and it's taken away some of the things that we love to do. Like I was talking about the live drawing, I miss being in person and doing sketches and stuff. Um, a lot of performers, actors, dancers, singers, Broadway have lost a lot of not just their livelihood, and I know that's important, and I just don't feel like talking about money right now because performers, creative people need to be creative. So performers need to perform, and when dancers, for example, can't go on stage because this pandemic is just too dangerous. It, it's really not fair, but it's not going to last forever, and it's not your fault. This thing hit the whole world, not just you, not just me. It hit the whole damn world. And I look at our country sometimes and I'm frustrated with things, how we're handling it, how we're not handling it. But if you step back and look at the entire planet going through this this same thing, you just gotta realize it's not our fault. We didn't make this happen, and there's gonna be blame. And I don't get into politics and crap like that online. Message me personally. I'll talk politics with you all day, but openly, I just want to spread positivity, and I don't want to get into that. It's gonna be okay. I care about you. Hopefully, you care about me, and that's what culture is. That's what society is, and that's what people are here for. So please think about reaching out to somebody, take care of somebody that needs it. Maybe they don't even know they need it. Think about an old friend and just reach out and say hi. But if you do that, all right, I'm gonna stop being deep for a second because if you do that, I did this last week, and I'm not gonna call that out either. But I did this last week where I just thought of an old friend from high school. Um, Hit her up on Facebook just to say hi. Not trying to be too weird about it because it's been a long time. I just said sent kind of a vague message, and it was vague enough that it didn't sound like me, and they thought this person thought maybe I was being hacked. So they post on my Facebook, "Hey, you might be being hacked. I think someone is messaging me on your account," and it was totally me. But I was just also trying not to be too weird about an old friend from high school messaging someone. Um, and in the process of that, I made it weirder. So that was kind of fun. All of a sudden, it seemed like I might be a prince from Nigeria trying to get to send you $2 million or something. But to, I want everybody to just remember that nobody's alone in this. And if you're watching this, you're definitely not alone because you got me, and I'll be there. I will. I'm an ear or an eye. If you want to just text and talk. I would rather listen to people than have them feel alone. And speaking of alone, I am all by myself in the basement working on my dragon stuff. So I like drawing stuff, but sometimes I need to draw stuff that's not licensed. So talking about trying to recap the stuff I talked about when I wasn't live. Um, I'm working on a new sketchbook. I may have talked about online a little bit. I'm working on printing a book of my artwork that is stuff that I have the right to print. It's not licensed characters, so I can't. For example, even though I have a million Hulk drawings and it's my favorite stuff, I can't print a book of Hulk stuff. I don't own the Hulk. I'm not associated with Marvel in any way. So I'm looking at doing more stuff that's not licensed, and I have a lot of it, but I could always use more. I've got a shadow from my cord here. That's great. So anyway, thinking what I like to draw. That's generic. I like demons. I like monsters. And I like dragons. And that's not because I'm super into fantasy or I'm really into horror, even. Although most of my books end up being horror books, zombies or demons and stuff. But it's because I like the level of detail that it inherently brings. More than superhero comics, more than um, cartoons. I like drawing a lot of this little stuff here. I like the little wispy things and shading and shadows. So that kind of thing lends itself very well to monsters. Um, like if you draw a human, the more wrinkles and stuff you put in, then your human just looks older and older. And that only works if you're actually trying to draw an old person or make that kind of adjustment. And what message am I sending with my pictures? So for me, I'm a fan of dragons. I draw them to relax. I draw them for fun. If I'm not drawing Spider-Man or the Hulk, I'm probably drawing some kind of demon or a dragon. So I was a fan of Puff the Magic Dragon when I was a kid. And I think that is why I always, always, always have to give my dragons a tuft of chin hair. this only occurred to me a few months ago when working on a new dragon piece for somebody. And I'm like, I looked up dragons because I almost always draw a dragon the same way. And I'm thinking, is it stale? Is it okay? Like why do I draw this way? I'm going to show you a little doodle video quick of typical dragon that Ken draws. So typically, my dragons have to have this chin thing, and I couldn't figure out where do I get these things from. I looked up other dragons, and I don't see all that. One of my favorite movies as a kid, a teenager, was Dragonheart with Sean Connery, and those dragons are just epic. Why don't I draw dragons that look like that? I don't really know. I draw dragons with some weird features that always have to be part of my dragons. So I'm going to dissect that a little bit because I started to overthink myself. You think me? No way. Yeah, I overthink things. So the chin thing, I think, comes from Puff the Magic Dragon, one of my favorite uh, shows as a kid. I remember some of my favorite memories are sitting with my grandpa watching cartoons. My grandpa liked two things on this planet: cartoons and wrestling. Yes, he watched wrestling, professional wrestling back in the day, and I mean old school, like Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper, um, the Great Kabuki, before The Rock, even before Undertaker and the 90s. Like, I mean, like early 80s. I hated it, but it was one of those things I did to spend time with my grandpa, and he loved it. So we sat and watched it. And it was either, swear to God, it was either that and, violent men beating each other up, or silly cartoons like Bugs Bunny or Casper the Friendly Ghost. And my grandpa had no middle ground. I don't know where I get that from either. So one of my favorite shows. Anyway, back to my childhood memories, and I think most things I love have a childhood memory attached. We'll talk another day about my mellow yellow obsession and how that connects to my childhood. So some of the elements of my dragon when I'm drawing, just off the top of my head, they got something to do with Puff the Magic Dragon. Some of the other elements I put in are like these squirty weird eyebrow things. They're a little bit like the Thing from Fantastic Four, but more than that for me, the the spikies on the head and the brow come from the old Abomination, not the Ed Norton Hulk movie, Incredible Hulk movie, but the design for the Abomination, the Incredible Hulk villain. Um, I never knew what the Abomination was supposed to be, but I knew that those features were like kind of sick, weird and wicked and monstrous. And I think of a dragon as being reptilian and scaly. And so I sort of always adopted that. I always give him winged or finned looking ears things. Um, and it got to have a brow. I feel like the dragon always has to have an angry brow of some kind. So that's something that I incorporate to my dragons. Talk about this weird chin. Yeah, this chin circle going on every single time. Why, I don't know, but I feel like it connects to me. Like when I was young, I started drawing animals. Before I figured out I wanted to do comics, I would draw everything. I would sit and I would draw trees, I would draw animals. Um, and I started drawing horses, and I found when you draw a horse that they've got this the long nose and mouth with the nostrils, and I incorporate a little of that here too. I've got small nostrils. This isn't horse-like, but I take that from the hours and hours I used to spend drawing horses. In fact, one of the first live drawing things I ever did, I was in high school, and I did a live drawing event at a church under a tent for some fundraiser day, and I was just taking Ah, man, I remember. My wife would remember. Nola, if you remember this, I know you do. Um, that church thing. I'm sorry, I'm checking the comments. Because I'm hoping somebody remembers. I took it, all day. People draw a Garfield, draw a cartoon, draw me a Mickey Mouse. And someone asked me to draw a unicorn. Some little girl, a cute little 6-year-old kid probably, asked me for a unicorn. And then every other kid in the parking lot saw that unicorn. And then every other kid wanted me to draw a unicorn, which is the horse basically with a horn on its head. So I drew this horse, this long face and this jaw that's kind of rounded like that, the way a horse might be. And it was great at first. Man, the first 3 or 4 times I drew a unicorn, and I hadn't figured out live sketching yet. So I made it more detailed, a lot of shading, and every drawing took, you know, 20 minutes, which is not what you should do if you're doing live sketching for people right there. You really ought to keep it 5 minutes or less. You need to do something quick and move on, unless you don't have anybody else that's waiting. Um, so I got really tired of drawing unicorns, and it became a joke among my friends. Everybody would always ask me to draw a unicorn, and I, to this day, um, never, never draw unicorns because I got sick of it. Scales. I don't know why they need scales, except that they just do. I feel it's more of a makes them more monstrous that a dragon has a reptilian aspect to it. I'm a fan of like Godzilla stuff. I don't know if it connects to that. I know he's not scaly, but he's weird like that. I don't have it on this one yet, but another feature, speaking of Godzilla, is from my childhood, from being a kid. Godzilla has those scaly things sticking up from his back, all the way from his head down to his tail. And I always do that. And I don't do scales like that, but I do some kind of horns. So I'll do some kind of horn thing here all the way around and then mix it up. The thing about dragons that's fun, and the reason I think I find it relaxing, is because you can't mess them up. They don't exist. There's no real dragon, and you can do details all you want. I'm gonna do a different dragon for now. I was gonna ink that one, but I think I want to do maybe a full body one because I'm explaining what's what the deal is and why I like dragons so much. Let's see if I can make this work. Every time I move the camera, something messes up. That did not go well. All right, cool. Nope, that is not what I wanted to do. All right, guys. Anyway, I don't care. Live TV, right? When I draw the body of a dragon, let's say I got a face here. I'm gonna go with general shape of a head, and I make it a more pointed nose than most nose than like a horse, almost a seahorse kind of thing. Jen, don't joke with me. See if I can get this to go sideways a little bit. Yeah, I swear the aspect on my phone never does exactly what I want it to do. All right, we'll go with that. Close enough. So, my dragons always got to have a long neck. I did a dragon tattoo for Dave Baranowski, Bay City's own Dave from D'Angelo's Pizza and Burgers, award-winning gourmet pizza. Check him out. Gotta like it. Gotta love it. So I've got my dragon here with his scaly ears that I like to draw. I always give him a long neck. Now, I'm sorry. Back to Dave. I'm not a great storyteller. That's why I make pictures. The dragon I did for Dave was one of those Japanese parade style dragons that's just all neck, like just almost a snake, right, with scales and stuff. That's cool. That's not my dragon. That's not my favorite kind of dragon, and I don't know why. And I bet this goes back to either Puff or Pete's Dragon, the cartoon from the same era, of 70s, 80s. But once I get past a long neck, I need my dragon to have a weirdly round body and wings. I prefer small wings. And I made these exact same kinds of wings when I started doing Angel's Blood. I'm coming up with a demon, and I'm thinking in creating a demon of somewhat, hopefully, some kind of originality. What do I like to put into things? So I gave him wings, but I like the concept of a dragon that can fly. with smaller wings tickles the hell out of me. Um, so my dragons tend to have smaller wings. I've done a few. I've done a few dragons with big wings and stuff, but nothing substantial. My dragons always like they're more of a detail than uh, anything functional. I will say I love Lord of the Rings and the Lord of the Ring, not Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry, I love Lord of the Rings too. The Game of Thrones dragons, where their wings are have a gigantic span and their arms are actually the wings attached like bats. That's very cool to me. My dragons, though, like Godzilla, have to have kind of stubby arms. I like little weird arms with talons on the ends. So that's that. I don't even have a clue. Again, I think it ties into these all these things that influence me, being these old cartoons or Godzilla movies. I remember being a kid, Sunday afternoons, PBS I think would show Godzilla movies. You know, you'd watch all these old, really terrible Godzilla movies, and even then, when I was a kid, they were terrible. I mean, dude in a big rubber suit and the effects, and it's just bad. Let's dissect some more of why Ken draws a weird dragon, and maybe that's what I should have called this. Why does Ken draw a weird dragon? Why don't I draw a normal dragon? Why doesn't my dragon look like uh, Lord of the Rings guarding the Tomb of Gold or Game of Thrones? Um, and I just don't know. It's my day for self evaluation. So, also need to have the underbelly have one of these ridges, like a snake or a reptile would. Don't know what that's about. Just know it is. Here's maybe the most undragon thing that I draw in dragons. Make fun if you want. Don't care. If I was worried about being made fun of, I wouldn't be going live with my sketching. So I have to have a long tail. I think that's standard. Dragons need a tail. This spiky arrow shaped thing at the end. It's also kind of typical. Everyone's seen it. And I think that just screams dragon to me. So that's not something unique to me. Some of these things, again, not special, just doing what I do. I'm going to give him that thing across the back and all the way down the tail. That's my homage to Godzilla. Got to have some bony things. Like my wings are kind of bat-like. I want them to be bat-like. So the thing that's going to cap this one off, though, that makes me laugh to myself every time I do it, is that my dragon has this thick, fatty thigh and a long foot. Every time, every one. Now I put talons on the end and stuff, but the I'm sorry, I'm chuckling to myself because I'm in on the joke. But the reason I draw this like this is I'm going to do it on a separate piece of paper. I'm going to draw a part of something. Let's say I got this other thing and then see if anybody recognizes it. This is a character, short arms, but this is the kind of leg and foot that is on my other favorite character. One of the most gigantic influences on my drawing from way back. And that's going to be, I get my tail. And if you catch that, so this is the way Garfield's legs are. So he's got a fatty leg that when it's folded just turns into a circle. And Garfield is one of the longest standing things I've drawn, even before I started drawing the Hulk. Really, I would draw Garfield. So I do this rounded leg with barely any knee showing, unless my dragon is in a different position or muscular. I have this Garfield leg going on, and I just make it a little more monstrous. I give him a talon, I give them some scales and stuff like that. And my dragon's always got to have scales all over the place. If I do a more detailed dragon, there'll be scales like mad. But my favorite thing is detail. I like details and I like shading. Um, been taking this comics launch course that I'm really, really into. So thanks to Comics Launch and Tyler James and the whole community there, because indie creators are really good at supporting one another. And in taking it, it's I'm learning a lot about comics and stuff, but I'm also it teaches you to think about yourself and what you're doing and why, which is I think how I got roped into all this. I kind of sucked myself into sharing my thoughts and feelings about what I do and why I do it. And when I first started taking comics seriously, and you can see in another video, when I started being real about comics, I got um, hooked up with my friend Mike and another friend named Eric, and two separate books, kind of at the same time. One was Angel's Blood that I talk about all the time, and one was Spring River Wild, which was actually the first real comic book that I ever self-published. Um, and I do a lot of detail, a lot of shading and cross-hatching, and in some ways, honestly, I genuinely feel like that's somehow me trying to make up for the fact that I'm not the best penciler in the world, so I put more effort into my inks. But I love lines. I just love lines. So I love cross hatching. I love shading. I love shadow. So where this is going, I forgot. Except that when I first started, I did a lot of things um, rough. I drew a lot. I drew a lot of sketchy, and it looks very haphazard. I've grown over the years, and I've learned techniques over the years, and I've started to polish my style. But I came to a point where, for a long time, I drew less and less of that, and I was drawing a lot more simply, and I like it, and I feel like it's more professional and polished sometimes. However, I feel like I lost some energy, and I think And again, maybe you're not watching any of these, maybe you're watching all of them. So if I repeat myself, sorry. But I talked about this with Mike last time because Angel Blood started out with a lot of energy, and then my books over the years have taken on different energy and gotten done superhero stuff, which is more clean, and some cartoony stuff, which is way more clean. And what I love the most, if I really were leaning into who I am and what I like to draw, check out Legends of Log by Giant Comics, and look for my Legends of Log stuff because Log has the most lines and detail of anything that I've ever done, even more than Angel's Blood. And what I like is I like black and white art. I like cross hatching. I like a variety of line weight, and so that's what I do. That's what I like about dragons because you have an opportunity to do a lot of that. I'm going to share more of my dragon stuff later on all my pages. Um, I'm going to wrap this up because I've gone about as far as I can with it, and I know I'm not the most coherent person. I had two things I wanted to say today. One was love each other, care about each other, hold each other, because especially now these are rough times. Two, I like to draw, and I like to draw stuff like dragons. So I've shared my dragons with you. I've shared my insight with you. I'm going to click off on this because we don't need to watch me draw anymore. If you are hurt and you're going through something, talk to somebody. Talk to me. Talk to anybody that will listen. I found the last time I talked online, I talked about some artists and people that are going through some rough times inside, and sharing that inspires me. Watching someone be vulnerable is actually inspiring because that's a strength, not a weakness. Getting through stuff doesn't mean that you don't let it affect you. It means you get through it. And however you do that, that makes you strong. Being tough doesn't make you strong. Okay. Being able to be weak and still get through it makes you strong. I struggle every day with something. I'm fighting myself or I'm fighting the world, and whether bad luck or the system or COVID lately, everybody's fighting something, and you don't have to fight alone. I don't have to fight alone. So share with somebody. I don't air all my drama on Facebook, but I can share when I'm feeling a certain way. And I'm not suggesting everybody go out and tell all their business or anything. I just want you to reach out. You shouldn't be alone. I'm Ken. This has been a conversation with me checking out my drawings and listen to a little bit of my aimless rambling. I'm going to try and make these more regular. So once I figure out a day that is always good for me, I want to try and do it like every Monday or every Saturday or something like that, and make my sketching more of a regular thing. Look for Angel's Blood. We're launching in May, and if you support me, thank you. And if I can support you, I will do my best too. Whether it's through a like or a share or subscribe. Take care. Love one another. Be safe.